wrapped up for the semester. We're in negotiations with the local shirt companies, trying to get the best prices available for y'all. We send an email out with details as to that very, very soon. But I'd like to hand the torch over to y'all.
Great.
All right. So my name is Ann Swanson. I know I've met a lot of you guys already, and I look forward to meeting the rest of y'all soon. I'm the college recruiter for our Lafayette office, and Trey's going to talk a little bit more about what we're doing in Lafayette and how you guys can be a part of it. And and hopefully I'm going to meet some more of y'all when coming up at the career fairs, coming up in the spring, and interviews and all that. I know some of y'all are going to be coming to work for us in June, and hopefully a couple more of y'all will join on. So, and I want to introduce Trey Harper, and he is the director of our onshore delivery centers. Nationwide, right?
For federal, yes.
For federal, nationwide for our federal division. And so what he's going to do, he's going to talk about some big picture stuff about CGI and then bring it down to Lafayette. And then we'll end the presentation with me telling you specifically about the jobs that we have available in Lafayette and how you can become a part of that. Great.
Thanks, Ann. Well, first, thank you for taking time out of your day and letting me speak and giving you this overview of CGI. I'm not sure exactly what order the slides are ever because we have multiple presentations. I get mixed up, but I'll try to go over everything and not read the slides. If you have questions, we'll answer them at the end. But if you have questions at any time, just let me know. I'll address it. The more interactive, the little more fun it is for me. Otherwise, I just go on and on and on. It is Friday, so I probably might lose my voice, but I've got water. If you can't hear me in the back, let me know. Again, thank you for your time. CGI, how many people before Ann showed up on campus at a recruiting fair did you know about CGI? No, I was in the same boat before they called me to recruit me about 7.5 years ago. So I didn't know who CGI was, had no idea, and oddly enough, they were headquartered only about 5 miles from where I lived in a 10-story building that I drove by multiple times. I just never noticed it, I suppose. So again, I've been with CGI for 7.5 years. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll go through the CGI slide. I have about 20 plus years of professional experience. I like to think of myself as a technologist, despite the fact that I wear a suit. I'm now more on the business side. So I'm kind of the face of CGI in southern Louisiana and some of our other onshore delivery centers. I'll kind of touch on that in a minute and what that means. I started out my career active duty Air Force. I served for 8 years, 2 months, and 28 days. And I transitioned into the private sector and originally doing IT consulting for federal law enforcement agencies. And I also ran the corporate IT department for the company I worked at. When I started CGI, they hired me as the IT director, so I ran the internal IT department for about 2.5 years. And some of my major accomplishments there included virtualizing over 500 servers, from physical servers to virtual servers, and actually lifting and shifting our data center from one location to another. And that was really in preparation because we were growing, and CGI has grown. When I joined the company, we were 24,000 members. Now we're 68,000 members strong and about $10 billion a year in revenue, and I hit on some of that as well. But we're always growing, so we have a build and buy strategy. We've grown the most through acquisition, and that's kind of the name of the game today. Everybody's, we expect less and less logos over the next year, at least in the IT field, in that market space. I then transitioned into a solution architecture role. I am a network engineer by trade, and I really like architecture and solutioning deals. And so what I was able to do in winning new business for CGI is really look at the technical requirements, what the client was looking for, and figure out a solution and put it into business terms. And so that's a big part of my job, is really connecting the business side and the business needs and the problems with a technology solution. When I'm talking to C-level clients, the chief information officer, my last client was the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's kind of like you kind of ask that question, what's keeping you up at night? What can we solve with an IT solution? Because technology for technology's sake doesn't fix much. We got to fix the business side of the house, and that's what IT is really there to support. My next role, I ran a P&L as a program director for a large program for our EPA client, and I oversaw work from cloud computing, cybersecurity to include incident response and forensics. application deployment, middleware development operations, as well as some app development. But I'm not a programmer. I've never written a line of code in my life. So I'm more on the infrastructure side and the operational aspects of IT. That's my background. Now, as Ann introduced me, my official title at CGI is Director of Consulting. We all have consulting titles, and we're all consultants. Whether you're a hardcore programmer, you're a business analyst, it's a very consultative environment, a very team-based environment. There's not one project or product that we develop or deliver that's not based on the team environment, okay? So it's very important, and it looks like you guys are pretty tight-knit as I see you assemble, talking to each other, look very familiar, and that's a good sign. And as we just got through with a very intimate tour of the facilities here, and the logo about that personal touch, and I can see that in talking to Dr. Bender, and it's interesting. He knows you guys, talking about you by name, and that's, I guess, good and bad, right? So, so again, I'm fairly new to the role I'm in, but my goal is to establish a good practice, and I work for the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer of CGI Federal. And I'll talk a little bit how we're organized structurally. I'm originally from Houston, so not too far away, but I left home when I joined the Air Force a little over, 21 years ago. So I've lost most of that accent, I think, unless I'm really tired and the twang slips out. So. All right. So we start out with who is CGI. As far as I know, we're the only publicly traded company that has a dream. Our founder is still actively involved with CGI. He's our executive chairman of the board, Serge Godin. We are based out of Montreal, Canada. And the dream is, I won't read the slides to you, but the really important things I like to hit on is working together as owners that contribute to a company we're proud of, and as owners. And so you notice I didn't say we have 68,000 employees. We have 68,000 members. We have an ownership culture, okay? And the best way I can describe that to you, and I'm stealing this quote from our CEO, Michael Roach, is that no one washes a rental car, okay? But you wash your own car. I have a rental. I can tell you what, it looks beat up. I've driven it to Houston this week and back, now here and back, and then I stopped and got gas. I won't name the brand, but in a gas station I would not stop at in my own car to get gas in, okay? Because it's just a rental. I think when you own something, and this is a part of our culture at CGI, you really take care of it. Over 75% of our members own stock, and that's a high indicator of the type of culture we have, okay? Some of the values is that partnership quality. And the ones I like to really hit on is the bottom three. Not that these are not important, but the respect aspect. And as you come into the workforce, you want to feel respected. That's a good value to feel. I want you to respect me, and I want to respect you. And that goes a long way to contributing to these other values. I think when people feel respected, you're a little more innovative, you're a little more free-flowing, and you're more comfortable at the workplace, okay? Because we're very diverse. We all have very diverse backgrounds. We're going to have different personal values, but as we come together in a company and work together as a team, it's important that we're all focusing on the same things. CGI is very financially strong. We have a very solid book of business. We just posted our annual results. This has been a tough market, but we have good results there. When I started CGI, our stock was trading about $8.30 odd cents a share, and now I think today it's $36 a share. So, and as you go and look at the workforce, if you're going to go work for a publicly traded company, I encourage you to do research. It's a lot of public data out there about the financials, and you should, really want to go work for somewhere that is financially conservative, strong. That way you can build a career in a place that you're comfortable. The corporate social responsibility. A big part of my job is giving back to the community, and even coming here and talking to you is part of that social responsibility. Why I want to hire as many of you guys as I can get, okay? It's important to me that I give back and that CGI gives back and that we contribute to the local communities. I spent my evening on Tuesday evening at the Lafayette City Council meeting trying in support of getting some development downtown, okay, to try to build some mixed-use residential. And part of that is because I would like some high-quality living for millennials, for the workforce like you guys. You want to live in a more urban environment, not so suburban, and things of that nature, to really invest in the infrastructure and support that type of initiative. We also supporting like Project Front Yard in Lafayette and some other initiatives there. So it's really important that we give back to the community. We're just not taking the labor, but we're actually contributing. So what drives us? We have a vision, we have a mission. Every corporate, every entity probably has these. And one of the things that I like to point out here is helping our clients win and grow. Now, I've spent my entire career in the U.S. federal market, and while the U.S. government doesn't have that goal for revenue necessarily, but we want our clients to be successful. Okay, and that's that business success or that mission success. So while my client was an environmental protection agency, part of their mission is to protect the environment as well as human health. And so that's a lot of times the way they collect data, they store the data, analyze the data, and wanting to support that and make sure they have a stable network, infrastructure, stable database platform, or whatever. But I think if we deliver that service successfully, we help them meet their mission, that they can focus on the mission side while we focus on the IT side in that case. I'll go next. So some of the values, again, this is just a little bit different graphic, but we kind of, on the shareholder side, the client side, and tells you where we're going. So with our clients, it's very important that we're objective and that we have integrity, okay? I can tell you that sometimes we do make mistakes. Sometimes, database, the log file gets full, database crashes. It's not a good thing. I don't really understand it. When it happens so much, when the DBA tells me that's what happened, then I have to go talk to the senior client and say, well, your application went down for X number of hours because of something like that. But it's very important to sit there and have the integrity and to be honest and tell them exactly what happened. And that's a core value. Go to the next one. Are there any questions? Kind of going through this pretty fast. All right. So what do we do? CGI is a global end-to-end IT and business process services leader. The high-end business and IT consulting, again, majority of folks at CGI have a consulting title, but a lot of it is the IT consulting. So we're not your classic business consultants, okay, but it's IT-centric. Again, we have 68,000 members and 75% are shareholders, 400 offices in 40 countries. So we're truly global, and we've done that mostly through acquisition. So while we are headquartered in Montreal in Canada, the majority of our business was there 10 years ago. Almost all of the business was there. Then they bought some companies, expanded into the United States, as well as some parts of Europe, and opened an office in India for some offshoring. But now, on the map I think we have on this presentation, you'll see where we're at more graphically. We do a lot of system integration as well as outsourcing. So system integration is when you bring in a new application or a new platform, maybe with some legacy applications, and you integrate it in. And then outsourcing, we do a lot of that in the commercial side of the business, not so much on the federal side. This is where they outsource. In some cases, we have clients where we've gone in and we've bought all their IT assets, we've bought their data centers, and we've rebadged their employees. And so that's a classic outsourcing model. And what we do there is, since we are an IT services provider, we focus on the IT, and then we let our clients focus on their mission, whether that's making a beverage, making some type of widget, or whatnot. We have a lot of IP-based solutions, and IP is intellectual property, and so that's a product. It's software. We do not manufacture any hardware. We're pretty much services-based or a product-based company, so that intellectual property. And this is where, I kind of generally try to make the point that we don't have any IP without smart folks like you guys that join our team and help create that IP. It just doesn't happen out of thin air, right? Our annual revenue is about $10 billion a year. The federal market that I cover, we have about $1 billion a year in revenue, a little over that. Okay. And this is just really a different way we depict what we do. Again, some of our services across the top, and we have some different ways we deliver that. The client proximity model, we do have, oftentimes we have contracts or engagements where the client wants us close. They want to be able to touch us, and hug us really close. So therefore, we open up offices close to them. So the last office I ran was in the Durham area of North Carolina, Research Triangle Park, because that's where EPA's National Computing Center is. And so they wanted people close. So we have an office there. The model that we have here that we're opening in Lafayette is an onshore delivery center. So here we have a concentration of professionals that will support a lot of clients that are spread out across the nation. A lot of our clients that we'll support out of the center require U.S. domestic workforce. So we couldn't outsource it overseas and send it to a low-cost area there. So we try to find areas where it's a little bit lower cost. We still have a high-quality talent pool, and that's what we're doing here. Again, that global delivery network on the commercial side, we do have some clients that have some needs where they want software developed really fast, or maybe they have support that they need around the clock. So we kind of follow the sun. And this is going when software development models like Agile, they can, your teams can literally sprint and do things 8 hours at a time and then turn it over to the next team. So your software is developed literally around the clock. So our goal is client-centric, and we try to align these with our strategic goals. And the things that we're always balancing, though, when we think about new initiatives or things we're doing, is balancing across all of our stakeholders, that are our clients, our members, and our shareholders. And really, we are looking for our members. We want an environment where you can build that career and you work for a company that you're proud of. And we are a technology company, right, with IT services. And so as a technology professional, I think it's good for me. And that's why I kind of start out telling you about my background and my career at CGI, because even though I worked at one company for 7.5 years, I've had multiple roles. And so if I had to look back in my career 10 years ago, if I went back 20 years ago, I never thought I'd be standing here in a suit in front of you guys in Lake Charles talking about the things I'm talking about. I figured I'd be in a data center on a raised floor, still programming a router or something. But I've enjoyed my career. I've definitely liked the different roles I've had at CGI, making a lateral move or trying something different. It keeps me engaged, and I'm always learning. So even though I'm well into mid of my career, I think I learn something almost every day. I never thought I'd worry about tax incentives or economic development or anything like that. But I do enjoy what I do, even though it's not directly tied to hands-on technology anymore. But I did enjoy looking at the labs, and can tell you, I was like, oh wow, this is neat. You get O-scopes and controls and wires, and that's, I missed that.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, next slide. So a few of our clients, and these, we kind of put them in vertical buckets, if you will, and this is how we align a lot of our business and the way we think of it. And you can see some of our clients, with Shell Chemical as our largest client globally. I focus all of my time pretty much in the U.S. federal piece, and while that's only just one icon, we do have that $1 billion worth of revenue there annually. But you can see we have a lot of different clients. And the neat thing about this is oftentimes we can take a solution from one vertical and offer that capability or that solution to another vertical. And that is really what keeps us growing. And that's why our clients really like us, is because we can take something, experience from one area and apply it to a different area. Sometimes you do something different. You may have an application, we have a billing application, and we've used that differently. It was originally developed to do telecom billing. But as we developed our own cloud for the U.S. federal government, that cloud platform, we had to be able to measure everything you're using there and bill it appropriately. So we adapted that application to the cloud. And so it's very similar function, but supporting completely different technologies. So again, this is our global delivery network. While we have more offices than this, these are all of our global delivery centers. So on the commercial side, it is really more integrated. On the federal side, we can only operate domestically in the U.S. So a little more detail about our Lafayette Onshore Delivery Center. Everybody here been to Lafayette? No, majority? Okay. So I'm not a Lafayette native, but Ann is more than I am, for sure. So I can tell you that the first time I went to Lafayette a lot as a kid, perhaps, but I started, I guess May, June, somewhere around there. I spent almost 80% of my time in Lafayette, because I do live in the Washington, D.C. metro area now. But I like it a lot. It's a vibrant community, getting a little more progressive, I think, every day. They've got a lot of local leadership that is looking to invest in the infrastructure and invest in the citizen, and really make it a great place to live. I really enjoy the nightlife. There's something going on every night. There's live music. From a personal standpoint, I have a lot of fun living there during the week, and I've stayed a few weekends. I have a lot of fun there as well. As far as our center, Currently, we are in a temporary location, and there's about 15 of us, and we're actually, the Lafayette Economic Development Authority has lent us office space, and it's in a loft-type situation. It's pretty neat, and we're right downtown. We are opening up a new facility that is about a $13 million facility right on ULL's Research Park, so it's right across from the Cajun Dome. That facility will be about 50,000 square feet. Do we have a picture in this one? No? Okay. So about 50,000 square feet, and it's really designed for software development teams. And the way we took a lot of software engineers with our space designers, we interviewed them, and we took them to kind of, if you will, a furniture lab, if you can imagine, where they have different styles of desks and chairs, and you're able to kind of switch some things out, and they got the, I guess, sit in chairs and move desks up and down and around, and really try to say, what would you, how would you be most comfortable working in a team environment physically? Okay, so it's a little bit different. So I expect when this is completed, you'd walk in and you'd go, wow, this is not what I expected. Not a lot of cube farms, but a very open, collaborative environment. The reason we're in Lafayette is the state offered us some compelling economic incentives. So they've given us, for example, the university is building this facility on their campus through a grant given to them by the state. We also have grant dollars covering workforce development cost as well as operating cost. So that made it very attractive for us to go to come to Louisiana and go to Lafayette. We do have a partnership with UL Lafayette and our Software Center of Excellence. The hope is that we bring and we use some of the capabilities that they have, and we're able to bring that to market and create additional streams of revenue. But we're also to collaborate because they have some great capabilities in data visualization, and we think that there's a great demand in the market for that. Any questions about the office, location? No? Okay. You can go. So we just talked about some of this. So our goal is to hire about 100 jobs a year, but 400 jobs total. So that's the ultimate goal. In 4 years, we have about 400 plus members. The majority of them, or a good majority, will be direct college hires, we hope, about 40%. And then the other 40% maybe mid-career, and then 20% more senior folks. And so the goal there is that we have a very mature college hiring process on the East Coast, if you will, and so Ann is quickly becoming Ann's quickly becoming more mature here as we develop relationships with the universities across the state, across the region, and that's kind of our mission here. Is to kind of so you get to know us, we get to know you. We had lunch with a lot of the faculty, and they really made us feel warm, welcome here, and I appreciate that. And that's really just so you kind of know what CGI looks like. It looks like Ann and I right now. So pretty soon we'll be looking a little more diverse and a lot more of us. So we do have a 10-year lease with 2 5-year renewal options on the facility. So we're here for the long term. CGI's been in business since 1976. So we're a mature company, and we look forward to being in southern Louisiana. And hopefully seeing a lot of you guys come work for us. Why choose CGI? After all these great things I just shared with you, I don't even think I have to go through this part, right? So you're sold? No? Okay. So again, I kind of I joined CGI in 2007, about 24,000 members. But over the years, you can see we have grown. And a lot of that, again, is through organic growth. And that's where we grow business on our own, and the other part is where through acquisition. So it's that build where we have organic growth and then the buy strategy. Look at the next one. Opportunity to build a career, and so the intrapreneurship, okay, and what's that?
It said entrepreneurship, it changes.
I thought so. I was like, whoa, good thing I'm looking. And this is that initiative of independent thinking. And this is really important, especially, when you are starting your career. I can tell you there are things I do that are not the most correct thing, but I've always done them that way. And if you look at the folks that have been really successful in bringing new technologies to market and everything, they kind of broke the model, okay? They disturbed the model, okay? They didn't take status quo. So I wish my brain was as fresh as your brain and that I could think out the box all the time, okay? But you guys have fresh ideas, and I can tell by talking to your professors here, you know, they're very proud of you guys, okay? And when you come into start your professional career, I think if you can bring these great ideas and things that you may just pass by and go, gosh, why did they do that? That makes no sense. It's important to, you know, kind of raise your hand a little bit and go, why? Or say, I don't get it. It's important to have that way of thinking. Just don't accept the way we do it, okay? Even though it works, doesn't mean it's the best way to do it, okay? And it's that entrepreneurial spirit, the flexibility. Now, I like to say here, you have to be very flexible in the early part of your career. I can tell you when I was active duty in the Air Force, I didn't have much choice but to be flexible and do what I was told. But as I have gone through, and I tell you guys, especially when you come in, a lot of times you may not get assigned to a project that is in the language you like, okay? But in the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because you're going to get skills and you're going to build new skills. You're going to do things you never thought you'd do, okay? So be flexible with us because if you do well where you didn't think you want to be, then you kind of get to choose your next step. And that's one thing CGI has been very good to me is that as I go from one role to another, as long as I do a good job, they kind of let me pick my next job, okay? And so I get to check lots of boxes across, and that's important to me because if I'm not learning something, I get bored, and that's not good, okay? Because I need to stay employed, so I want to do a good job, so I want to stay engaged, okay? So I often ask folks when I interview them, you know, what motivates you, you know, or what did you want to be originally? Not everybody probably want to be a computer scientist or electrical engineer. When you're a little kid, you probably want to be a baseball player, or you know maybe even a carpenter, or you want to be an artist or rock star. And so as you go through your career, you know even though you get a degree in something, doesn't mean that's the field you stay in. My best virtualization engineer has a degree in literature from William and Mary. Okay, one of my best network engineers has a chemical engineering degree. Another one has a double E. And so it's interesting, you know, where your interest will take you. If you do good in one area, you kind of get to pick the next one, generally. The global resources, local feel. CGI is a big company. When I don't know something about a center of excellence or onshore delivery center, I have colleagues in Canada I can call. I have colleagues across the U.S. I can call. And it's the same way if you're learning a new language, like Ruby on Rails. We have a couple of folks learning that. You know, they call some folks in D.C. and talk through some things. And they get off the phone, they're like, oh, we kind of got past that roadblock. So just because, you know, you're here, especially when we start out and we're a very small office, I have to remind the team today that we are a large company, but they do have that reach back. So you're not alone. And that's a good thing because when you're in a technology field, you know, a lot of folks, if you go to a small IT shop, that's good, and a lot of people start there. But in this type of environment, you do have a large community, and you learn a lot. You work with a lot of smart people, and that's why I've stayed so long, is because I really respect my peers and my management team. I learn from them. I'm not the smartest person in the room, thankfully. So again, we talk about the communities and that social responsibility, and these are something we do more on a global scale. As we become a little more rooted in Lafayette, you know, we get that more local feel and definitely get back to the local community. We do think that's very important. I can say the state has been very generous with their incentives to us, and it's very important for us to, you know, invest that back into the local community and the citizens. Is that it? This is interesting. So when we bring folks on board, because you know, while you all have had, you know, good education here, we kind of like to brand you a little bit and put you through a program that we call SOAR, and that's our Strategic Onboarding, Assimilation, and Readiness Program. I'm not sure I like the word assimilation. I don't want you to all think alike, look alike, or anything like that. Okay, but it's about some core things, some career development guidance. Okay, so you have some experienced professionals talking to you about their career and probably helping you, you know, make some decisions. Because some people, you know, I got to a point in my career, did I want to go into management or did I want to be a hardcore network architect? And I chose the management route. Sometimes especially after today, walking through some of the labs, I think I should have chose the other way, but that was my path. We talk about some of the business lines, and we talk, about the different verticals. And I think that's important, that you understand the breadth of the offerings that CGI has and the different type of accounts and different markets we're in. I hope in 5 years that I can go to Europe and work there. We have a large office in the UK. I would love to go back. When I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Germany. I liked my time there. I also think of going to San Diego, especially when the weather was cooler earlier in the week. We have lots of offices. I just got to figure out how to get there. Okay. So, and the mentorship. So, and this is important, whether you have a formal mentorship program or if you have a, informal. I mentor a couple of people, and I have a good mentor that I've known for about 15 years. I worked for him in the Air Force, and then he's now a civilian as I am, and we're very good friends, and he gives me a lot of career advice. I don't always take it, and sometimes I wish I would have, but it's important to be able to bounce ideas off of someone that you respect and someone to help guide you. And so we try to do that a little bit formally, and I have a couple of folks I mentor at CGI through an official mentor relationship. And I enjoy that because it helps me grow too, because sometimes they ask questions or the conversation goes in a road that things I don't really appreciate, because from my perspective, from a management view, is very different than their perspective as a junior member of the team. And so that kind of keeps my feet on the ground a little bit and keeps me in touch with reality. Because as you go into management, you learn to speak a different language, you think a different way, and everything is neat little boxes sometimes. So when people come to you and they're like, oh, this is a big problem, and you're like, but we're doing this to help you, and they go, oh, we don't like it. And so it's good to have that type of informal feedback. Did I miss anything? No? So our commitment to you, and I think this is important, again, I hit on the respect, you'll be respected. Your initiative will be encouraged. Okay, we're never going to tell you to slow down. You notice I kind of missed the work-life balance. That's very important. I tell people, don't follow my example. I'm not very good at it. I like to work a lot. So for folks that like to work a lot, it's a great environment. But we do encourage you to have work-life balance. The constantly learning part, and I hope that I've demonstrated that to you with my personal experience. I'm always learning. There's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something a little bit new. Sometimes I don't like what I learn, but generally it does help me, and I think it makes me a better person and a better professional. And you have your voice in contributing to the success, and this comes back from that membership culture that we try to cultivate through all of our members. Some of the ways we reward our folks: profit participation, and that's, if you will, a bonus. So it's not guaranteed, but typically we are very profitable. There hasn't been a year that I haven't got a bonus due to our profitability. Now, I can't speak to the future, but generally that happens. Of course, and we have a 401k for retirement. You may not think that's important, but I tell you, I didn't think 20 years would go by that fast, and I'm hoping the next 20 slow down a little bit, but it does come up on you. We have a share purchase plan, and this is frankly why so many of our members own stock, is because we do have a stock matching program. You buy a certain percentage and we match a certain percentage. And we do have referral programs and service award programs. We also have an initiative called ICE, and this is where we encourage folks to come up with great, bright ideas. And if it's we have a committee, and if it's a really innovative thing, we'll actually invest time and resources into it for you to develop. So say you come up with a really neat idea for an application or some way to solve a client problem, and the client's not going to fund it, but it's a really great idea, we would fund it internally, and maybe go offer that to the client, pro bono in a sense, or at least say, look, we've developed this capability, because it does drive business and you get to work on something fun. So what are we looking for in candidates? So the folks how many people have interviewed already? I know you. Okay. So this is kind of like, the other folks get a little bit of edge maybe. But these are the things we look for. And again, that thinking on your feet, the quick grasp of complex or technical topics. And sometimes, I like to ask abstract questions. Like what is the technology that's impacted your life the most? What's the next big thing that you think is going to change the course of business, or maybe even consumer? IT, because a lot of consumer technologies have really impacted the way we do business. When the iPhones first came out, and I was the IT director, I was a BlackBerry person. How many in here has owned a BlackBerry? Right? How many in here has owned an iPhone or Android, some smartphone like that, right? See? I never thought BlackBerry would go away. It was a great product, swore by it. It was great for business, okay? But it was not very good in the consumer environment. So you can see, consumer environments really influenced the way we're doing business. I didn't think that would happen, but somebody like you thought it would happen, and it's happened. So that confidence. And I can tell you, 20 years ago, I didn't have the confidence I had today. I was arrogant. I thought I was really bright. Thought I was the best network engineer technician around. Okay? But I've learned confidence because as I've experienced successes in my career, because I've had a comfortable place to do that, I get some natural confidence with that. Comfortable. Seeking answers and insight. I can tell you that courage to go ask a simple question sometimes takes a lot of effort because you don't want to be seen as, what do you mean you don't know that? But that's why we work in a team environment. You're not expected to know everything, but you need to know where to go to find the answer, okay? Whether it's asking your colleague, researching it, but just showing that initiative to do that. Communications is very important. I'm an introvert, and I have a minor speech impediment, okay? This takes a lot of energy out of me to talk publicly, okay? And I do it a lot. The weekends, believe me, I'm like on my couch reading the book, and I don't want anyone to interrupt me. Question?
What's an introvert?
Introvert? I'm a little shy, and I don't, speaking on, like having a lot of activity around me is not my environment. I do not like large crowds. Like I enjoy live music, but gosh, I really wish like I was the only person there enjoying it, okay? Some people like Anne. Anne wants to talk to everybody. It energizes her. What energizes me is sitting on my sofa, my feet kicked up, and reading a very good book. Okay? Yes?
Right there with you.
Yes. Okay?
I agree.
But it doesn't mean that you cannot be good at talking to people. Okay? And I think there's a lot of us introverts, okay, in IT. I mean, that's why you like it, right? It's ones and zeros. It's on or off. It's very easy. I love being a network engineer. You go, the router's not doing what you want, you just turn it off. Turn it back on when you're it's easy. You cannot turn people on and off like that, okay? So the soft skills, being able to engage with people. Believe me, I want to some days, okay? I get a little impatient, okay? And I think that's why it's important when you work with smart people to kind of understand that sometimes. But I guarantee you, all of us could work on our people skills a little bit. And when we're looking to hire people, that's a big thing we look for. We don't expect you to be, come and be very charismatic, okay? But we want you to be personable and be able to communicate and express yourself. And hopefully we've set up an environment that you're comfortable doing that. Okay? And really it's as much your responsibility as it is, mine. The culture we create in Lafayette is really, you're the company, Right now, you're part of this university. You're the university. My impression of this university is not what the building looks like, it's you. It's my engagement with you. Okay? Able to handle that nuanced exchange. That gets really tricky with IT people, especially when you're dealing with the customer. And you've worked really hard on building an application. They sit down, they look at it, and go, oh, this isn't what I asked for at all. That's very frustrating. So it's about managing their expectations, understanding what they're saying, and listening. Okay, that listening skill is very important. I wish I had it when I was a kid. My mother wouldn't have hit me so much. But it was out of love, I think. But it's something we have to learn. Negotiation and facilitation skills. Again, that goes with setting out expectations. Even working with your team. When you're sitting down and you get an assignment and you've got a deadline, you've got to figure out who has the right strengths in the right areas. Okay? And you don't always want to give the hardest part away, or you don't always want to work on the coolest part of it, right? You have to develop your team and recognize that. And that's part of building that culture. Team playing. I cannot tell you, if you have the opportunity to work on team projects, as much as you may not like it, try it out. If you're not a natural leader, try to be the team leader anyway. You will learn something, you will grow, and you'll be able to talk about that in your interview. Okay? Yeah, please. All right. I'm not sure we're out on time. Do you want to talk about, are there questions for me? I mean, no? You look like you have a question. No.
What's the name of your stock?
The symbol? GIB.
GIB?
GIB.
So, so the other part, the part that I wanted to talk with you guys about today is about the job opportunities that we have and the internship opportunities that we have, and how you would go about applying and obtaining those jobs and internships. So we're hiring, as we mentioned, 400 people over the next 4 years, and at least 40%, possibly, probably more than that, are going to come out of colleges like here at McNeese. Are going to be college hires. So the best way to go through the process is how most of the people who've already interviewed have gone through is, well, first of all, raise your hand if you're graduating this December. Any December grads? Dang it, I'm a few people short still. Okay, May. Okay, and I know I've talked to some of y'all, but not all of y'all. And then the December after that, and the May after that. Okay, so if you haven't already applied with us, what you would do is at the career fair, when we come back on campus, and just be on the lookout for that, both of your professors, and I know they put little signs around campus and send emails and all that. So treat that like a mini job interview. So, dress like you would to a job interview, have your resume ready, come up, show us something to indicate you did your homework. You could say, oh yeah, I remember you told me to treat this as a mini job interview when you and Trey came to speak to us a while back. Okay, that's going to really let us know that you're interested. Give us your resume there, follow the instructions as far as working with career services and uploading your resume there so we can go through that whole process. And from there, if we look through the resumes and determine who to invite for our on-campus interviews, and then from there we do our on-site interviews. So that's a little bit about our process. Right now, we are a couple people short for December, so if y'all know some people who are graduating in December who haven't been through the process yet, if they get in touch with me directly, I could set up we call it a one-off, like a one-on-one type interview with them, as opposed to this interview day where you come to our center and you interview with a few different people and you see a presentation like this. As far as internship opportunities, we do have 4 internship slots this summer. That's really not a lot at all. 2 of them are technical and 2 of them are functional, and I do want to go into that a little bit in a moment. But as we grow, my guess is that our internship program is going to get bigger. It's just with so many start-offs and new hires, we didn't want to over-inundate with interns coming out of the gate. But the internship program is going to be pretty different from a lot of internships that you might experience, because the internship program that we'll be offering, it's going to be a 10-week internship. Hopefully you'll be able to get temporary housing in Lafayette during that time, maybe even through UL Lafayette or one of the I don't know what you call them, but those apartments where you can just rent one room. So
The hostel.
what are they called?
A hostel?
No, it's not quite a hostel, like the Edge and Campus
Oh,
Crossings and
oh.
all those. So, and so it's basically a full-time job for 10 weeks over the summer. And so that's what we offer in terms of the internships. But if you're graduating, let's say, I don't know, a few of you put your hands up saying you were graduating in December of next year, I would really encourage you to apply for that internship, come to the career fair, apply for the internship over the summer, because what we're doing is we use that as our pipeline, is the word we use, and basically what that means is that we're going, if you do a good job, we like you, you like us, chances are when December rolls around, we are going to offer you that job. As far as GPA goes, we tend to look at 3.0 and up. Now, we're making a little bit of an exception to that right now because our goals are so high, but, I know there's that expression, what do you call the guy who gets the lowest grade in medical, last in his class in medical school? We call him a doctor. Okay, that joke does not apply here. We actually look at your transcript. We actually look at your GPA. You will have in your interview, if your GPA is not a 3.0 or higher, and you still get through a process because you you seem bright, we like you, you will get in the interview what happened this semester, what was going on here, and you will be asked to explain that. So, so I don't want to discourage you from applying if you have less than a 3.0, but I just want to encourage you, especially those who have more time before you're going to get to that point, to know that there is a purpose, there is a reason to get those grades aside from just, hey, it feels really nice when I get A's and B's. There's something more to that. So that was something I wanted to point out. Technical and functional, I know Trey touched a little bit on this, but when we hire people, we kind of block you in either a technical role or a functional role. Most of y'all would be a technical role, but some of y'all might say, you know what, I like computer science, I'm glad I have this knowledge, but I really want to be more on that business side of things, be more the communicator, be the tester of the software instead of the creator of the software. And so that's where those functional roles come in. If you have the technical skills, we really love to see you apply on the technical side, but we want you to be happy in whichever role you choose. One thing that's important as far as career development goes, so it's not going to be like, it's not necessarily, okay, we all get hired at this time in December, and then we're going to go through the ranks like this. It's not a, what's that word? What's the opposite of a meritocracy? Seniority system.
Seniority.
It's not a seniority system.
No, it's very much a meritocracy.
It is a meritocracy. So just because you're hired in with a bunch of people doesn't mean y'all are going to go through the ranks together. Let's say you just really have a drive and you want to be a manager, you want to be a lead, a project lead, that's your goal. Let your lead know that, like, hey, this is where I want to be. And you can go on that path. Let's say you have family or want a family and your goal is to have a 40-hour-a-week job, go and code and go home. You can have that. That's what you want. That's your goal. And you know, nice income and just a good, stable, all-around, well-rounded life. You can have that too. But that's something for you to decide and then communicate. And that's part of that entrepreneurship, or I changed the word up there. So it's kind of like entrepreneurship. Right? So,
we're creating new words now.
Yes,
okay.
yes, and confusing me with them, but I like them. So entrepreneurship is you go out, you start your own company, you take risks, you shake things up. Well, entrepreneurship is you're doing that, but you're doing that within the confines of the company, and that's what Trey's saying. Just because it's not broke doesn't mean you don't need to fix it sometimes. So a little bit about that, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on was the more I see the presentation, the more we go through it, the more I'm like, I really want to change that. And so the slide that has all the logos on it, while very impressive and neat to see, it's not how it looks in my head. And Trey, you can, if your head sees it different, let me know. But my head sees it like you take that one logo that's the American flag and you put it on one side, and you take all the other logos and you put them on the other side. Okay.
Sure. So the way we're organized, so I'm part of CGI Federal, but we're a wholly owned subsidiary of CGI U.S. level, then of CGI Group in Canada. And so the way we're organized in the U.S. is we have the federal market, and then we have what we call the U.S. enterprise market. And the U.S. enterprise market, all of our clients there include our commercial clients as well as our state and local government clients. So we're in the federal space. It's mainly, you know, all our civilian agencies, the legislative branch, as well as DoD and our community, our intel community. And so that's the way organizationally we're divided, and that's because we're foreign owned.
So that's kind of how I see it in my head. And if you get hired in this December or in May, chances are almost 75% chance, if not higher, that you'll be hired in on the federal side. But I know one of the things Trey's doing is going across the company and talking to our different business units, both on the federal side and the enterprise market side, and letting them know that Lafayette is a great place for their developers and their analysts in their business unit to work out of. Yeah. And so as he is successful in that effort, we will see more USCM, we call them United States Enterprise Markets, USCM people come in as well as the federal side. So that was just some really practical, nitty-gritty stuff I wanted to share with you guys. And, you know, once again, both Trey and I want to open it up and and know what you want to know about and what you want to learn from us.
So, if it's you said the majority is going to be federal or not yet, what
Yes.
federal agencies are you working with?
Great question.
That's a good question. So the majority of it right now is supporting the EPA. The most of our clients are with the EPA today. The folks that we've hired are supporting the EPA. We have some Java developers. We have somebody's actually working on building a private cloud. So he's kind of doing some system engineering, if you will. And then we have some folks working Ruby on Rails, and we have someone doing .NET with SharePoint development. And we also have one person supporting our GSA account. Right now, we just won a Navy project for it's called data center consolidation, but it's really application rationalization and migration. And so part of that, the scope of that work, as I understand it, is the Navy has 3 large data centers in the United States, and so they're looking at duplicative applications they may have, and if there's similar functions, then they'll consolidate them and migrate them. So we'll hire for that. And then that will also require security clearances, so some of our folks may need to be cleared from the DoD side. Even with EPA, you have to go through and get what they call a public trust clearance. But we do expand, I'm talking to, we have a project with FDIC, a lot of different, I cannot remember how many civilian agencies we cover, but the list of accounts I've supported in the last few years include Department of Interior, Energy, as well as Department of Commerce. I've talked to GAO, which is technically part of the legislative branch, but I've spent most of my time with the EPA.
And the other project that you would very likely be working on,
right.
more likely than not, you would be working on if you were hired into Lafayette. It's called Momentum. It's an accounting software for the federal government. About 37 government agencies use it. We're about 40% of the federal government market.
Right, it's an ERP platform, so some of you may be familiar with like SAP or Oracle Financials. We compete with that, but Momentum is a product built just for the federal market. So, and if you Google CGI Momentum, hopefully we're at the top of the Google search results. If you Google CGI Lafayette jobs, we are top rank. And if you go to cgi.com/Lafayette, you'll get some more information there that points to data about housing, the local community, of the things like that.
Yeah, that's right. I was on there this year.
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed with the companies you had a transportation listing that had like Volvo and Michelin and stuff like that. I was in the Air Force for 6 years active duty, and then I worked for 4 years as a automotive technician.
Okay.
And before I came, to college for a computer science degree. So what kind of, can you elaborate on that? What kind of?
So my understanding, like with Michelin, we do some of their control systems, and I believe the majority of that work is done in France. And that's part of the Logica. We acquired a company called Logica several years ago. I don't have details. If you ask me questions about the federal market, I probably know about it. If you ask me details about the non-federal market, I can wing it, but
Because that piqued my interest. I mean,
Sure.
I've worked for like Honda and Nissan.
Sure.
And done everything like that. And I like the design and like the electronic systems and how it works and everything like that. And computer science degree on top of the coding and the automotive and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not
I'd like
sure.
to find an opportunity where I can use all of that.
Sure. I'm not sure how we would apply that at the center, but I would think there had to be something. But I don't know anything that we do like that in the U.S. Okay. That's interesting. Thank you for your service. What AFSC were you?
2E6.
I was a 3C2. I got out as a staff sergeant.
So,
Yeah. Any other questions? No? I've been very quiet. You snuck in. Yeah. All right.
I have a question for y'all. What's the story behind the hackerspace?
Yes.
It's the story primarily.
Yeah, Susanna's not here, yeah.
Okay, so hackerspace, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept globally. The idea is kind of, you bring together some computing resources and some machine shop. Actually, we have a machine shop around the corner.
Okay.
So that people can come in and hack in the traditional sense of hacking, which is take things apart, put them back together, maybe take things apart and reuse them in some interesting, creative way.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the idea here is we've got the resources that people can come and do that. And primarily this one is used for, well, the idea is to use it for the senior projects that we have both in computer science and electrical engineering.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, and this was actually the equipment that's here was funded by the students.
Oh, wow.
Through a grant. The students many years ago, long before I came to the university, assessed themselves a fee that's called well, it's a student technology fee. And there's a student group on campus that decides which projects are worthy of that money, and it has to be something that's student focused. And so last year they gave us, I think it was about $25,000 or $30,000 to equip this space.
Very cool.
Anna Heilman, she was with us at CGI. She is the one that wrote the grant for it.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of.
My name's on it, but I proofread it.
Take some credit, so.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anything that we didn't tell you that you were expecting to hear, or?
Anything surprise you?
I'm a fan of the entrepreneurship idea personally.
Good, good.
I don't like that because I said so.
Yeah.
Because I've always done it that way.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I had another question actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of flexibility do you have in like, I use Mac mostly, like Linux.
So let me answer this two ways, okay? Because I'm a good consultant, so I have multiple answers for you. When I put my corporate IT hat on, I would say, so our preferred vendor today at CGI is Dell. I have a Dell laptop, she has a Dell laptop. We do have a very nice standard developer laptop. It's kind of it's heavy, but it's got a solid state hard drive, 16 gig of RAM, and it's a Windows platform. A lot of people will run a virtual desktop on it, and then if you need Linux, you can do that. Depending on the application you're developing, most of the time we do develop in dedicated development environments, okay? And then the code repository, there's a whole process. We're CMMI certified 3 across the company. Some programs are at CMMI 5. And then we're also in the process of maturing our application, our own branded version of Agile to include tool sets, okay?
And that's something you learned during that, the onboarding, the SOAR?
That is, so SOAR is almost more professional development. What happens when you onboard with your project teams, they kind of bring you up to speed with that. If you join the Momentum product group, they have a program called MAP, and they have 2 different paths. One is where you learn the functional side, the other is where you learn the technical side, okay? So that was my corporate answer, IT director type hat on. We do have some rogue folks that bring in their own Macs and they develop on that. I'm not a big fan of that from a corporate perspective because it's all about IP, because everything you do at work is owned by CGI and you have no expectation of privacy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I understand why people do it. I am actively pushing that we can support Mac and Windows. I like both platforms at the center because I personally, I have a MacBook Air and iPad, all Mac'd out. I like the platform. I like Linux. I like being able to go in there and write a script. It keeps me, it makes me think I'm doing something cool. And it's stable. But the challenge there is we have to have the corporate infrastructure to support it. We have to manage it. We have to push out updates. It's still not going to be like what you have. So some could say it takes away the element, but what we're trying to understand is the support cost. Because then we have to have skilled, our support staff have to be skilled in Windows and a Mac OS, and that could be challenging. I think it can be done. I would personally like you bring your own device. We give you a check, and you go buy whatever you like. You maintain it, and then everything's in the cloud. I mean, I'd love that. You know, I'm a big proponent of that model. That way we keep everything in that that mysterious cloud, and you just remote into it, use a virtual desktop, and do that. I'd love that. It's very expensive. If we add expense, then we add expense to our clients, then we lose our competitiveness in the market. So we have to balance cool with, you know, what we can sell. But that's kind of the, you know, where we're at.
I can use Linux in my own time.
Yeah. But most of our development platforms are on Linux these days. I mean, .NET's becoming a little more prevalent. But I tell you, yeah, so I mean, well, we have more Red Hat servers than we do Windows Server in our development environments. So a lot more. So. And you know, Oracle, as most of the backends are Oracle, over MS SQL. Some applications quite large around MySQL, right? So it really depends on the client, and you will get exposure going across them. You know, we have like our Momentum product used to be on AIX on IBM platforms, and then they ported it to some Windows. That didn't work so great, and you know, but so a lot of that now is on Linux. So, but it really depends. Different modules of the ERP of the product are in different OSs and written with different languages. The core of it is C++. But you know, as you go up the stack and some of the newer modules, some of it's in Java. You know.
What do you use, or what does the company use primarily for subversion? Is it all?
It all depends on the client. Again, we are services. We're very agnostic when it comes to technology. Subversion, we use rational. It really depends on the client. So, any other questions? Great questions, by the way.
Yeah, it seems to know from our perspective, you know, the things that y'all are thinking about, especially some of you who are going to be starting with this. And so, you know, we're talking about all this very
some of this,
in the cloud
it's abstract
concepts, and it's like, what computer am I going to be on?
Right.
So, you know, that's...
Yeah, like you know, right now we have dual screens. You know, people have laptops. Some of on the Momentum side, what people do, we give them a laptop and then they remote into a development work because the compiles take 40 minutes, an hour, things like that. Okay.
I miss those days.
So, I mean,
it's not going to take that long?
no, it does.